Ever since Rails 1.2, it's common practice to follow the RESTful convention, where each of your controllers has the same 7 actions: index, show, new, and so on. Well, what if we want to dry this behavior up between the controllers so we aren't repeating these same 7 actions? Well, if you want to do this, there's this great plugin called Make Resourceful. So let's install that by running this command, and I'll post this command on the railscast.com site in the show notes for this episode. Okay, so how does this plugin work? Well, in your controller, all you have to do is call Make Resourceful, and then pass a block to that. And inside of here, you can call actions. And then you can either pass the name of the actions you want to generate, maybe index, show, and so on. Or you can just call all on here, and that'll generate all 7 actions for you. So we don't need these 7 actions here any longer. I'm just going to comment them out for now. Okay, so those are generated for us automatically, and the behavior is fairly traditional standard. So usually it'll work fine for you. But you may want to override some of the behavior for certain actions. So let's say this index action here. What if we want to find all the products and sort them by their name instead of just finding them all normally? Well, that's pretty easy, because in this plugin all you have to do is override the current objects method, and I'm making this private so that it's not a public action, and then we just perform the find in here. Just like that. And then we can add our order clause in here. There we go. And now this will take place inside of the index action, or whenever we're finding all of our product models. Okay, we can also override when we're fetching a single product by just calling overriding current object method. And then you'll likely want to cache this, because this is called multiple times per request usually. And so you can override this behavior. Let's say we want to call find by permalink. There we go. And that way, every single time a single object is fetched, whether it be the show action, update, or edit, or so on, it'll just call find by permalink to fetch that single object there. Okay, that's all nice and fine for fetching objects. What if we want to change the actual behavior of how an action responds? So let's say we want to supply the XML format for the show action sometimes. Well, inside the Makes Resourceful block, you could just add a response for block, and let's say response for show, and you could add multiple actions there as well, and then just pass a format to the block. And this behaves very similar to the respond to method in Rails. So format.html will be the first one. We can also do format.xml. Let's render some XML content here. And if you want to reference the current object, you just call the current object method. And then let's call toXML on that. There we go. And now we can call the XML format instead of our show action if we need to. Okay, the last thing I want to show you here is how to respond, override the behavior of the flash message here. Well, one way to do that is with a callback. Is with a callback here. So in Make Resourceful, you can call after update. And then inside of here, this will be triggered when a successful save happens in the update action. And you could just set the flash notice here. Or you can do update fails, and then set a flash error here maybe, and of course you'll want to change that error message. But there's actually another way to do that in Make Resourceful plugin, which I think is kind of neat, and that is to actually pass a flash parameter through the form as a hidden field. So let's try that method instead. So let's go to our edit template. So here's our form for the product. So what you can do here is just pass a hidden field tag. And then the name of this will be underscore flash, and then like the type of flash you want, notice. And then for the value, it's just whatever you want the message to be. so on. And that's way it'll override the behavior of the flash notice when the product gets updated. So that's how to override the various behaviors of Make Resourceful. Now, if you find yourself overriding the majority of the behavior, I think it's best to not use any kind of plugin that'll dry up the code, because you'll end up with a kind of more convoluted code than what you would do with just sticking with the standard 7 methods. But otherwise, if you're fairly conventional in your use of the RESTful actions, then I highly recommend the Make Resourceful plugin to dry up your code. This episode is sponsored by Peepcode. Please visit peepcode.com and check out their latest screencasts on Ruby on Rails.